Welcome to the Pretty Tough Podcast. I'm your host, Hailey Corona, and you guys are in for a special treat today. I have not only one amazing guest on the podcast, but two amazing guests on the podcast. I'm so excited to introduce them. I have Geneva Gray and her husband, Mitch Brown. So happy to have you guys here. And they've done just about everything in the sport of wrestling that you can think of. Um, Between the two of them, they have tons of experience with coaching. Geneva's coached for over 20 years, and she is only the third woman to ever get her gold certification in coaching, which is really incredible. And Mitch is on his way to getting his gold certification as well. And Geneva was the Utah national team coach for the past couple of years, Olympic Training Center resident. She's been a longtime training partner for her sister, Adeline Gray, who's six-time world champ, Olympic silver medalist. I mean, Geneva's just kind of been with everything. And her husband, Mitch, are now coaching at Slam Academy in Vegas. So excited to pick their brains today. Thanks so much for being here, you guys.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us. We're
Yeah.
so excited to be part of this.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm going to just kind of jump right into things before we get talking about your background. And I'm going to ask you kind of a big question. It's going to be, what's the biggest piece of advice that you could give to a girl wrestler? And I want to hear from both of you on this one.
Man, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
My biggest advice that I give girl wrestlers especially is I say it all the time, but they need to remember to still be a kid. And not always have to do training 24/7, like they
Right.
need to enjoy, they need to go to school dances. They need to, I think they get so caught up sometimes in the training and the grit and the hard work. And then they forget that sometimes they look back on their high school experience if they're so involved in wrestling that they didn't get to experience it fully. So I think my biggest piece, I always say, like, don't forget to be a kid. Enjoy life, especially when you're on the mat. Don't forget to look around, and
Right.
take in the environment and enjoy the moments.
I love that. That's such a great piece of advice because I feel like it's so easy to just get caught up in needing to do your 2 to 3 workouts a day and go to every single thing. And I think sometimes you miss out on being a kid. And I think that you can have a good balance of both. So that's great advice. Geneva, what do you got for us?
Oh man. To add on to that, I think that Mitch is spot on with that. There's a funny story about Adeline. So she had to decide between prom or world championships. And it was a hard decision. It was funny because my dad could not understand the decision. He's like, "What do you mean?"
Right.
And she ultimately she went to a lot of proms in high school because girls on the boys' team, and so anytime anyone needed dates,
Sure.
us. And so, um, my dad was like, "Adeline, you went to 3 other proms this year," and she's like, "That's a solid point." And so she ended up winning world championships, but she had gotten to go to prom too. So,
Oh,
just to,
Yeah.
I guess, echo what Mitch said
yep.
is like having those high school experiences that you want are important.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
my biggest piece of advice for female wrestlers is don't forget to enjoy the moments, but also like don't don't look at the result as everything you get out of this sport. Like this sport is so much more than getting your hand raised at the end. And there are so many little wins in every single moment that you can find. Even if you go out there and it's terrible. We've all been there. We've all been terrible matches. We've all been like completely gone mentally, but there still wins. You were still brave enough to step out underprepared. You were still brave enough to go out there and do the hardest thing you can possibly do. And always a win that you can find from it. And just being in the sport, in my opinion, is a win because it is such a brutal, hard sport. And I think that reframing is going to be your best friend. Anytime there's adversity, anytime there's challenge, anytime that there's failure, and there 100% is failure, playing
Yep.
that, yes, this happened, but what can happen now? You grow
Yeah.
so much from failure and so much from all of the challenges that not taking it as like, but I didn't win.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
I think the statement that I wish would just like, I can't and I didn't win need to just go away because there's always a win
Seriously.
and you can. You just might not be able to do it yet, but you can. So I think
Right.
that, and I don't know if I put 4 things in one, but that's kind of
No.
the
That was perfect. You guys killed that. I honestly think that's such a great piece of advice because it is so easy to get focused on results and to base your worth off of winning tournaments or, you set a goal to be a state champ or a national champ and you fell short. And now, you feel like everything that you just prepared for, you're like, well, that it didn't matter. But at the end of the day, like all that preparation, the journey, the process, what is, building you. And so I think that's so important and it takes time to not, to not base your worth off of results. But I think the more that you can, get into that mindset of I'm more than winning a tournament, then
yeah.
I think that's super important. So I love that. Great answers, you guys.
I also think it matters because they're like, how they respond to things really matters too. So, yeah,
Yes.
you might have gone out there and not performed the way you expected, but how you reacted to that, I think tells 10 times more as who you
Yes.
are than if you were to have just gone out there and won. And
Absolutely.
there's always adjustments to get those wins. There's not adjustments as to who you are. And
I
so,
love that.
like, being accepting of who you are and being the person you want to be, I think is really important.
That's so good. I love that. Well, I want to talk about you guys a little bit. So
Okay.
I want to know, I mean, I have an idea of what your guys' background in wrestling is, but I want our viewers to have an understanding of kind of how you guys got into wrestling, what it was like growing up, especially, Geneva growing up with Adeline as your sister and kind of seeing her success and you having the success with her as well. I want to know kind of how you guys got into it. So let's go ahead and start with Geneva. I want to hear about that.
Okay, so I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. I have
Wow.
3 sisters. My dad was one of 7 boys, and we
Oh my
played soccer,
goodness.
we did gymnastics, we did T-ball, we did all of these things, and my dad was like, "I want something that I can help them with, that I can be involved in, and that I know." And my dad was actually boxing on the police Olympic team at the time, and my mom
What?
laughed, said, "Absolutely not. My girls are not gonna box." So, my mom's brother coached the youth wrestling program,
Okay.
and my dad was like, "Okay, what about wrestling?" And my mom was like, "Yeah, sure. You'll get 1 practice out of them, and they'll never do it again." And here we are almost 30 years later. It is both of Adeline and my careers.
Yep.
Um but we just we took to it. Adeline was a
Yeah.
hyperactive kid, and she just needed something to run some energy off, and she had an attention span, and so we learned moves really, really fast and had really early success.
Yep.
Um, my first year of wrestling, all I did was play games at practice. I didn't
Oh
actually
my
practice.
gosh.
They didn't
You're
make me.
kidding.
It was so fantastic. Like, that is why I loved wrestling, is because I got to go there and play games, and they were
Oh
hard,
my
rough.
heck.
And so
Right.
they let me do it. And then the next year, I would do most of the practice as long as I got to do the game. And then
That's
the next
hilarious.
year, I did the whole practice, and the games were just part of the practice. And then
Right.
just continued on from there, and I just fell in love with it completely. And it didn't hurt that we were super successful at the beginning, because 5 and
Right.
6-year-old girls, we can learn 4 or 5 moves in a week.
Yep.
5 and 6 boys might get 1. And so we just
Exactly.
technique so fast, and we developed quickly, and so we just found a love for the sport. It became a family event. Um, However, my mom was right with the 2 younger sisters. They both
Yep.
tried it, and they said, "Absolutely not. This is not for
Not
us."
for us. That's
No.
hilarious. Oh my heck.
Yeah.
That's such a fun way to get into it. Do you feel like Adeline also was she kind of participating in the games and that was kind of how she was into things too, or was she right away like invested?
Right away invested. She was also 6, and there's a
Okay.
big difference between a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
she knew what she was walking into.
Mhm.
So my cousins, Aaronette and Vincent, they were both in the practice room as well. And Aaronette was like the first girl, and she was like, "Well, if my brother gets to do it, I get to do it." And my uncle was like, and so like Adeline got to do it because Aaronette was doing it, and I did it because I did whatever my sister did, because she's always
Yeah.
been looked up to. Like, I'm so lucky to have the sisters that I have, because they're these incredible, amazing people that I get to constantly just sit in awe and just be like, I'm related to them. This is so cool.
That's
So
so sweet.
having that from the time I was little, just like looking at my sister as this idol, has been really special, and watching that just continue to blossom and grow and now have all of these people across the world looking at her as an idol. I'm like, see, I did that first.
I love that. That's so amazing. I bet that was just so fun to be able to share that together too and like have kind of
Yeah.
a partner in crime that you got to grow up with, especially where, you're both sisters. For me, I grew up with my brothers, where of course it was awesome to be able to compete with them. Just a little bit different dynamic of not having like that sister relationship. So I think that's so cool that you guys got to do that together. And
Yeah.
Mitch, I'm super curious to know how you got into wrestling as well.
Yeah, I got very into it.
You
Uh,
too.
but,
That's hilarious.
initially, at the beginning, I wrestled in high school, all
Okay.
4 years of high school. But after school, I started coaching when I was 19, and
Wow.
I coaching cross country, and
Oh,
so
cool.
I'm a runner. So I coached cross country and track now for 18, 19 years.
Wow.
It's actually my first year that I didn't, like, try sport coach, 'cause
Wow. That's
Nope.
crazy.
Oh, but yeah, so I started off doing that, and I coached, cross country and track at the school in Colorado.
Okay.
One day, they the head wrestling coach stepped away, and the athletic director called me up during Thanksgiving and said, "Mitch, you're the new head wrestling coach." And
Whoa.
okay, but I haven't been on a mat in 10 years, and he said, "I'll teach you
Right.
everything you know."
Oh
So
my heck.
head wrestling coach, with no
That's
staff.
crazy.
Um,
Wow.
so what I ended up doing is I called all of my former coaches who coached me in
Hmm.
high school and offered them kind of a dream job for them. As I said, I'll deal with all the paperwork and everything and the contract. All I want you guys to do is coach because I didn't know the technique at the time, and so
Right.
just kind of hired my weaknesses
I love
and
that. Smart.
and they just took over and they helped me with it and we grew. um I was there for 5, 6 years as a head wrestling coach. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got into wrestling. It was just a phone call on Thanksgiving saying that
Yep.
I'm the new head coach. And from the school
That's
too,
crazy.
I've coached, other sports. I think I was the easiest one in the building because I already had safe sport done. I already had all of the certifications done
Sure.
um in the building, and they knew I wrestled before. So
Right.
but yeah, I leaned on a lot of other coaches. They
Hmm.
did a good job of helping me out, especially if I didn't know what to do with weight allowances. I'd never even
Right.
touched wrestling. It was all on paper, so it was the first time I
Yeah.
got set up with track wrestling too. So it was
Wow.
a steep learning curve, just like the kids sometimes when they first hop in.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I kind of fell in love with it more so because I didn't wrestle in college. I felt like I had to become more of a student of the game. And
Yeah.
so um, I asked a lot of questions, talked to a lot of people, picked up every possible wrestling book I could get my hands on.
I
They did
love
not.
that.
I'm not allowed to buy. I'm not allowed to read more than 2 books at a time.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
so I think I'd buy a lot of wrestling books and training books, but I think I felt like since I didn't have that edge and I didn't wrestle, that I had to really study and know how to do it, which is why I like the USA Wrestling program, right? So I'm going through that, and soon, hopefully, maybe in May, I get that gold cert. So,
That would be
uh,
awesome. Yeah.
but
What
yeah,
a
that
big accomplishment.
got thrown into it.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine. When you
Fun,
have Geneva Gray as your wife, you're gonna get thrown into it.
right?
Pretty much.
Yep. So,
That's incredible. Well, I love what you said about hiring where you had some deficits because you were great on the paperwork side of things. And I think that's so important, even like for coaches now, high school coaches, college coaches, is to hire assistants that can actually help with what you struggle with. And I think, taking an honest look at what you're good at and what you're not good at is super important in the role of a coach so you can have a coaching staff that's cohesive and full and there's not a lot of gaps. So way to go on that. You guys are a power couple, and I wanna know how you guys met because I actually don't even know that story.
Go ahead.
well, since I was a brand new wrestling coach, right, looking
Mhm.
for anybody and everybody I could talk to, um,
Ah, I see where this is going.
we were at a state tournament, and in Colorado,
Uh-huh.
at the Pepsi Center, or now Ball Arena, and I saw Geneva out on the middle of the floor working, and I was like, "Oh, I know her. Like, I want to see if she would, either talk to me or teach me some stuff." And so, actually, I jumped the barrier when I wasn't supposed to, and
Wow.
ran 5 mats to go talk to
Oh
Geneva
my gosh. That's
at the same time.
hilarious.
Um, and, asked her if she would be willing to come into our room and teach us, and she knew a lot of my assistant coaches.
Because they coached me
They
too.
coached her,
Oh,
and
wow. Okay. Very
so,
cool.
she came in and, ran some practices for us, and I got to watch how she coached and took some things that she did, and then we kinda just, I don't know, just stayed in contact, and then, we started kind of dating a little bit, and then after that, she left to be a training partner for Adeline. She ghosted me for a whole year, and then,
No. Shoot.
Yeah.
yep, and then,
Well, then COVID.
then
So then
COVID
we got to
hit,
actually date for a year.
so we did, yeah,
Okay.
3 years, COVID. Um, yeah, I had to get screened 100 times just to go see her at the training center, but
Oh my heck. That's hilarious.
that's kind of how we met. I knew the Gray family because, like she said, her sister Erinette was on the team, and I wrestled on that
Yep.
same team in high school, and
Oh,
so I was
wow.
used to having a
We went to the same high school,
yeah,
just not at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. It's all coming together
yeah,
full
yeah,
circle. Wow.
having one female on the team.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit different, but, it was normal for me because we always had one, there, and then as coaching wise, I've coached co-ed track and co-ed cross country, so moving from, track and field into coaching women's wrestling, I didn't have the same hesitation as a lot of people have because I've been around high school female athletes
Sure.
as I for all the time, so that's kind of how I just kinda moved in, and
You also always had a girl on your team.
I always had a girl on my team. Yeah, I've always had a girl on the wrestling team. All the way,
That's
even when I was
awesome.
had a female athlete on the team as well,
Wow.
so,
That's so
yeah.
cool, and I mean, it's awesome that there, have been girls out there in different states all across that, have been willing to step into boys' programs and pioneer the way, and so that speaks to them as well, but you guys have such a cool story. I love how you guys met, and I wanna know if you guys always knew that you were gonna be coaches, or if this kinda came. I mean, Mitch, I know that you kinda stepped into it and you might have had a better idea, but Geneva, did you always know that you wanted to be a coach?
So looking back, I definitely had an affinity for it my whole life.
Yeah,
I always had coaches tell me like, you'd be a great coach or you should get into coaching and things like that. And it just,
right.
I was an athlete but I always did give feedback as a partner. I think I was like, hey, let's adjust this or let's do this again. And I had a good way of teaching people.
Yeah,
I think that's what made me a really strong training partner and helps me as a coach. And then
absolutely.
Um, I always took the new kid under my wing. I always, like, helped the, like, elite kids. I don't know. I think I
Yeah,
always just kind of gravitated towards that coaching role. Um,
sure.
in the moment, I never would have thought so, but now looking back,
Yeah,
absolutely. Um,
right.
I got into coaching right after I graduated high school. I started helping out with programs, but it was always the youth programs, and
Okay.
then when I came back to Colorado after, a couple years at college, I started coaching a high school program, and it was an all boys program, and that's when I was like, "Oh,
What?
I'm kinda good at this." And,
No
so
way.
yeah, I was the first, female to be paid on staff for a varsity boys program in 5A in Colorado. So, it was
Wow.
kinda neat. I didn't
Yeah, that's
know that I
incredible.
was into. It was really cool because the coach that was there never even coached me, but, he was a
Gosh,
great
wow.
guy and
Yeah.
gave me some cool opportunities, and I think I really fell in love with the coaching side, and I kinda went straight from that into college coaching. Really
Wow.
3, and I think, yeah, it solidified that, like, I love this coaching thing, and I think
I
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
love that. Yeah, no, I mean, you're an incredible coach. I've got the opportunity to coach with you, a couple of times, and so I know firsthand. I mean, you are so knowledgeable when it comes to the rules and all the things. Like, that's one of my weaknesses is
Yeah.
the rules and, all the different things, and you're spot on with all of that. But not only that, you interact so well with the girls and build great
Yeah.
relationships. And also, Mitch, you've done a fantastic job. I've got to work with you and see how you coach high school programs. So I'm curious what you guys think maybe coaches could learn from you guys, in the sense of maybe what's your biggest piece of advice for coaching, because I think that's a little bit different than, your advice for what an athlete would be.
I'll kind of piggyback on what I was talking about. Again, I think especially wrestling coaches, they tend to take on so much at one time.
Yes.
They struggle with delegating because everything has to go. And then when they do that, unfortunately, a lot of practice planning just ends up being kind of shooting from the hip because
Mm-hmm.
they're so much more worried about the big picture. And I always say, like, you need one coach to be a 360 coach and you need other assistant coaches to be 90-degree coaches. If you're a 360 coach, you have to know that your 90-degree coaches are going to push back because they're only focused on their one thing. And so
Sure.
understanding and get that piece of, this is what they want to do. But I think a big part of being a head coach, especially, is again hiring your weaknesses, but also being willing to delegate some of those
Mm-hmm.
tasks and bring people
Yeah.
on that can help you and being able to let go because you're the head coach. You should be sometimes the most, you should be the most knowledgeable on your craft. But again, paperwork gets in the way, fundraising gets in the way. Whereas if you can bring someone in to take that load off and trust that that'll happen, I think a lot of head coaches, especially in wrestling, take on a huge load. And I learned that from I started going to other coaches' practices for other sports. I went into football. I don't know anything about football. Like, no. I wrestled at 103 pounds and I ran cross country. Could have been the ball.
Sure.
But I got invited to come into some of the coaches' rooms and some of their coaches' conversations, and learning that football has such a big staff and how they delegate. And I watched how the head coach did things and who could speak at the table, who didn't speak at the table, who was running certain parts of programs. So I went out and watched practices for football and how they delegate who does what, who's running certain plays, who's working with certain athletes. And I kind of took that back to wrestling and then started divvying up jobs for my assistant coaches and even my managers on what they needed to do so that I didn't have to do anything. So I took a lot of stuff from football staff on what
That's
they did.
amazing.
I could bring it in to my own coaching staff. So again, circle back. I think head coaches bring people in that you trust, bring people in that can be those 90-degree thinkers so that you can see the 360 picture.
I love that. That honestly is great, because I've been a head coach for the past couple of years, and I know myself that I would take on way too much, and I'm a perfectionist, and so I wanted everything done my way, and I had a really hard time being able to delegate. And it took some time before my husband, he's always been a fantastic assistant coach to me, but I was able to hire on some other really awesome assistants that I was able to trust and started being able to delegate a lot more stuff to. And then same with managers too. I mean, they're huge in helping, whether it's your social media stuff or whatever it is. I think there's so many ways that you can delegate out, and then it doesn't feel like such a load, and you can actually, help the girls at practice. Like, what your job is to really be that present person for them. So I love that. That's such great advice to delegate. Geneva, what do you think the best piece of advice for coaches would be?
Mine is just keep learning. I know as wrestling coaches and as adults, I think that we get stagnant in our growth. And
Sure.
I know, like, yes, I hold a gold certification. I know I've coached at the highest level. Like, I know these things, but I purposely, like, I do it in a couple different ways. Way one is I try to study the sport. Like, I love OEPs, which are the officials education programs. So
Wow.
that's why is I love watching them and I love learning the intricacies and the nuances and all the little things is like, what are they looking for? And then like
Right.
thinking through it. But moves as well. If I see someone hit something that I'm like, hey, how do you do that? And I'll break it down. And I'm never too prideful to be like, oh, it's a 12-year-old. I don't care. Show me that. You walk me through it and I try it. And like, I
Yeah.
other coaches. I'm always willing to absorb information. And once you're stopped learning, you should be done coaching. So I think
Oh my gosh,
coaching is
yeah.
an ever adapting thing. And so never stop learning. The other part of it is I purposely try to challenge myself. So every year I pick something I'm not good at and
Mhm.
I work really hard to get good at it. So a couple years ago I did handstands and now I'm super good at handstands. And
Love that.
I like the idea of that struggle and that constant failure until you finally get it and you finally figure it out, and that
Mhm.
continued repetition and practice of it in order to gain those skills. So I'm constantly learning and remembering what my athletes are going.
Yeah.
And so it
Right.
makes me like check myself a little bit when I'm like, "Why are you so frustrated?" I'm like, "I know exactly why you're so frustrated."
That really is such a great piece of advice. My dad and I were actually just talking about this because I mean, I know you guys were just at women's nationals. He was just coaching at women's nationals and just kind of talking about the growth of women's wrestling still and how we can get coaches, in each state and in our state to continue to
Yeah.
grow and develop. And I think it's really easy to get prideful and to think that you do know it all and think that your way works and to not be willing to step outside and learn from people that are maybe doing it better than you are, or even like you said, a 12-year-old that knows how to do an awesome move. Like I think that's such great advice to stop thinking that your way is the only way that will work. And I love that you're constantly willing to grow. And the officials thing, that is such a smart thing because
Hey,
especially
they're free
understanding.
on wrestling. You can go find them. They're
Yeah.
easy.
Wait, sorry, where did you say you could find them? Did you say just barely? I
Yeah,
missed
on
that.
mat.com. So you
Okay.
just go under the officials tab and they have all like the most recent OEPs, like the rule changes. They're mostly UWW stuff, or if they're
Okay.
rolling out, like when they did the modified rules for women's folk style, they
Yes.
put some on those. But right now they did some freestyle adjustments and I'm loving the new adjustments that they've made. So those are great. So if you ever are
Yeah.
like feeling like you need to study the sport a little bit, the OEPs are the way to go.
I love that because like I said, I mean continuing to learn, but also the officials, I mean freestyle wrestling, it does evolve kind of frequently. And I think that it's really easy to kind of get stuck in your 1990s way of how you did it if you're an older coach. And I think it's awesome to be able to learn from that sort of thing. And yeah, that's fantastic. Great advice, you guys. I'm learning here. This is fantastic. I love it. Well, I also want to know, Geneva, what it was like being a training partner for Adeline. I mean, for quite some time, you got to see her at such a high level, and I want to know maybe what that was like and what you were able to learn from being around elite athletes all the time.
Oh man, it was the hardest and most incredible thing I've ever done. I've had some of the greatest moments of my life and some of the hardest moments of my life all in those training years.
Sure.
I think I got to see every moment, every struggle, every tear, every drop of blood, every drop of sweat that goes into this, the sacrifice. Like, it is so much more than what people see. The moments of injury, like, what do you do? How do you train? How do you adapt? How do you mentally recover from things like that?
Right.
And the best of the best do it. And some of them do it wrong. Some of them do it right. Some of them do it completely different and it's still right for them. And so just seeing all of the different ways that the same thing can get done was really cool.
Mhm.
Seeing the drive and the motivation that these people have, there's a reason not everyone becomes an Olympian. Like there truly
Yeah.
is. You have something that they have to foster day in and day out, and it is special. And it's
Right.
really was fun to be part of and watch and be in that same room. I can't tell you how much I learned through them. Not just technique, but the way you approach things, how to talk to them in different stages of their training was magical. Seeing and reading their body language and just getting to know these people at different phases of their training was really interesting. Because like
Sure.
Sarah Hildebrandt on weight is a very different Sarah Hildebrandt than off weight. Yeah, Adeline wrestling mode, very different than Adeline chill mode. And so
Right.
figuring out where they're at in that cycle and all of those things
Sure.
was really just challenging and fun. My body hurt all the time, and I could
I
only
bet.
how bad their bodies hurt because they're not just the training partner, they're actually going out there and competing as well.
Right.
Uh, you know, having that bond with my sister is something that I will never take for granted and I will cherish for the rest of my life. It felt like we were back in high school and we're in our 30s and I was like, but it was really neat to share that bond. I don't think that that's something that a lot of people get to experience, and being one of the only family members that was able to go to the Tokyo Olympics was
Wow,
challenging but super special. It
I'm
was
sure.
there were a lot of hard times because I got treated like a little sister. At the same time,
Dang
am
it.
on the backup list, so if she doesn't compete, I have to compete, and I was like, "Whoa, that was not part of this deal." And so,
Wow.
I got to play a little bit of, like, bodyguard and protector because I was like, "Nobody hurt
Right.
her. I can't
Yeah,
do this."
hilarious.
It was really fun, but then, like, the way that she included me in everything and the way that she honored me in the subtle ways was just she's a special human, and, like, I've always looked up to my sister, I've always cared for her, but getting to see her in that light and the way that she felt comfortable enough to treat me and know and have confidence that I could be the person that she needed to get her that gold or get her that next step was really, really incredible, and
I'm
it made
sure.
me have so much more confidence in myself and what I had to offer. Um my wrestling skills went through the roof,
Yeah,
obviously, when you're training with the best in the world, but
sure.
I also learned I don't know how to create things for myself because I went back and competed after 10 years because she said if she had to do nationals, I had to do nationals, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
and
Yeah.
I haven't competed in wrestling in 10 years, and she
Holy
forced me
cow.
to do it, and I went out there and I had, Victoria Francis first round, and I'm
She's
like,
amazing.
"Great, you're sending me a world team member from the weight below, fantastic." And,
Right. Awesome.
yeah, what am I supposed to do? And I went out there and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I've never had to, like, go out there with the intention of me being the one to win. Like, I've
Right.
always
Yeah.
me and doing my best, but, like, I've never had to, like, actually have that last second, like, I have to win. So, it was terrifying, but hey, I put her on the clock first, then she teched me, but it's fine. I was really proud of the way I competed.
That's amazing. I love that you were able to, put kind of even your ego aside and be willing to
Yeah.
like step into something that you're not comfortable doing. Like that's incredible. And I think I would have a really hard time doing that. Hats off to you for being able to do
Thank
that.
you.
But I love that you said that Adeline always made you feel like you were important and valued in that experience. And I'm sure it'd be easy at times to maybe feel like, Adeline's the star of the show and I'm just kind of here, but the way that it sounds like she made you feel like you were, a vital part of her and her wrestling and being able to succeed. I mean, that says a lot about her and your guys' relationship. So I love that it sounds like it was just a positive experience. And I'm sure you have just so many cool stories of being able to travel and see so many cool things. But I want to kind of go back and I want to ask being able to see all those high level wrestlers and how they compete and what they're doing, what do you feel like they're doing differently than everybody else? And maybe just even one thing, but what stands out to you that is so different and why they're hitting those high levels when a lot of people aren't?
I think it's twofold. I think the first thing is their mindset. They're not only their mindset training, but they put work into the mental piece of wrestling.
Hmm.
They they will take their journals and their mat side and taking notes. They're doing a move. They're going and writing things down. They're tracking their mental progress. They're working actively during practice. Like they're forcing situations where they get frustrated and they're like, okay, how can I get myself back to my baseline where I can actually think through this? And they're practicing getting those anxieties and all of the fears and still performing. And so they're doing those mental things, whether it's visualization, and everyone does it differently. I know Adeline was big on the visualization stuff. She was really big on the forcing the frustration and practicing getting those frustrations back. So I think the mental aspect, hands down, is probably first and foremost paramount.
Huge.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. And then I think the next part was Adeline, I think, has the best way of explaining it is your success is a puzzle and you don't have all the pieces. So you have to
I
find
love that.
and some
Yeah.
pieces fit for now, but they'll only fit there for world championships, but when it comes to Olympics, that piece no longer fits. So you have to
Sure.
continuously change the direction of the pieces. Where do they fit? Do they fit anymore? Is it the right color? It's the right shape? Is it right this? And constantly adjusting those pieces. And that can be your diet. It can be the people around you. It can be your coaching. It can be your style. It can be injury. It can be all of these different things that you have to adapt into this puzzle piece and
Right.
continue to change those pieces. And it was really fun being one of those constant puzzle pieces. Um, but I know that like you have to be willing to continuously change those pieces in and out,
Yeah.
and not being afraid of, I don't want to say relationships change or being cut, but relationships changing, they do.
Sure.
There are coaches that, like, you love them, you still have relationships with them, but maybe they aren't what you need here. And
Yeah.
making decisions, and I think that those elite athletes have a better grasp on that and keeping those
Mm.
relationships good, but
Right.
still making the changes that you need to make in order to get where you need to be. I think
Absolutely.
at the higher levels, people get less, your mind, and they start understanding development,
Right.
quite a bit more. So,
Yeah.
I think the gratitude that I have for the experiences that I got to see those firsthand have really made a difference in the way that I coach. I know I use the term like, "Oh yeah, she's one of my girls," but
Yeah.
I still, whenever I have athletes that are like, "No, like, thank you, like, you made this happen." I'm like, "Nah, girl, you made this happen.
Right.
I
Right.
just pointed you in a direction and you did the
Yeah.
work." And so,
Right.
I think that that comes from seeing that elite level, and I think you actually probably understand this better than anyone is, like, your coach does it in the practice room and they help you and they're only there so far, but if you aren't gonna do the work, it's
Right.
not gonna happen. So,
100%.
I think that these girls understanding that has been really eye-opening to me, being able to
Sure.
see the highest level.
I love that because, it is really challenging as a coach at times when you're like, I'm giving my 110% here and I'm showing you guys, you know, things that are going to work for success and what you need to do and I don't know everything, but I do know a lot is what I would tell them and, seeing some girls that had these big goals but just weren't willing to put in the work and the time and do the things that it takes to become a high level athlete. It'd be frustrating to see because you're like, man, I'm here giving my best as a coach and I need you to step up a little bit. But I love how you talked about seeing um, these different athletes be able to do things a different way and that it still worked and being able to find how you can fit those different puzzle pieces together. And I love how you mentioned that it's not always going to look the same. And, for maybe one tournament, it's going to look one way, and for another tournament, it's going to look another way. And I think that it's probably hard at times for athletes to be able to understand that and adapt and know that, okay, this coach right now is fantastic for me and I'm going to take everything I can from this coach. But recognizing maybe when you need to make an adjustment and maybe it's in training partners, coaches, diet, all these different things that you talked about. I think it's important to know that it's not always a straight line process and that it sometimes is those different puzzle pieces. So, man, great advice, you guys. This is amazing. I'm loving this. I want to talk a little bit about Geneva. You were coaching Utah, which is how I got to work with you,
Yeah.
Utah national team for a couple of years, and you're now stepping into this other role, but you have firsthand experience knowing kind of how to build a state up and how to grow girls wrestling within a state. And so, and also Mitch, of course, from working alongside Geneva and helping that. And I want to know your guys' perspective on where girls wrestling is now, even in Utah or even in other states, and how we can continue to see it grow and what you kind of see happening.
Yeah, so I think Utah did something really special. They put their money where their mouth was, honestly. Like everyone can say they support women's wrestling, but Utah actually took that step. They hired a specific women's director and
Right.
he paid a real salary. Like it was a full-time position. And it needs to be a
Hmm.
full-time position. That job is hard. um,
Yeah,
so
seriously.
I think that Utah did something really special by investing in their women and truly stepping behind them and being willing to say like we will be there for you and we will open opportunities and we will do the things that we can do in order to help. And I think one being willing to say it is one thing, but actually doing it was another. And do I think everything was perfect? No. But
Sure.
I don't think any situation is. And they were willing to
Right.
take initial step and I think that that was a major step in the right direction. I've seen Utah's level of wrestling
It's gone way up.
just skyrocketed for their women. Like
Absolutely.
before it was you and it was Sage and it was
Sage and Marlon.
beyond that, they were like, "Oh, like the girls out of Utah, like come on." And now we have like
Yeah.
national girls all the time. They're people don't want to wrestle Utah because they're known for being super tough and they can score
Right.
and they can rebound from like getting scored on. Like Utah made some big changes in their numbers. Like they have exploded in their numbers, which is really
Right.
exciting. So I think
Super.
a lot of things were done right. Um, I would have liked to see the state associations work a little bit closer with the um state chapter of USA Wrestling.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see some more conversation of like how many divisions, because I have noticed that the
Yes.
toughest and the most successful tournaments have less divisions. And I know it's a numbers game and I know it's
Yes.
all of that, but I will tell you, like the Nevada State tournament, although it's not run very well, like, it's kind of interesting, like, I think that
Uh-huh.
Utah State tournament was run great, like, it's fun, it's
Yep.
exciting, it's an event you wanna go be a part of and enjoy,
Right.
whereas this one was just a wrestling tournament, which was
Got
fine,
it.
but there's only 1
Just
division,
hype.
and they only placed the top 4, and it was
Wow.
tough, and it
Oh,
was
I
kind of
bet.
level of wrestling was really cool, but throughout the season, it was really hard to find competition, and so that's why
Yeah.
I saw twice, and
Wow.
I need to let Mitch speak to Colorado's tournament a little bit, but I think the state
Sure.
that's doing it the most correct is actually New York. Um,
Wow.
are you aware that they actually switched over to freestyle? So their high school season
What?
is freestyle, and they changed the season.
No.
So they wrestle.
Wow.
So they have freestyle wrestling as its own sport, and it's a whole
I
season.
love that.
And
Wow.
they showed out at Fargo last year.
Oh, I
It was
bet. Yeah.
incredible. So their girls were
Wow.
training it and I was like, this is perfect because it's a spring sport. And so they're going on right now. They're
Oh my
wrestling
gosh.
freestyle in preparation for things like women's nationals, like the US Open, like Fargo, like national
Wow.
titles. So they have this going already. And so it's not
I
like a
love that.
we're transitioning. So I
Yep.
think they did a really good job doing that. Their numbers have gone up. I think that their level of competition on the national level has just skyrocketed. I haven't
Oh,
seen
I'm sure.
that quickly, that fast. Um,
Wow.
Actually a non-traditional wrestling mecca. It was
Yeah.
cool, especially being right
That's
next to yeah,
insane.
that. So, shout out to
Wow.
you doing it right.
Shout out. That's actually so crazy because that's seriously, if we could get every state to do that, like how much better would girls wrestling get like as a whole? Because I don't see college wrestling switching back to folk like ever switching to folk style for women.
It
So the
better not.
fact that it's yeah, exactly. It's already is what it is. And so it's like if girls are preparing to go wrestle in college but wrestling folk style in high school, we're doing them a disservice because
Agreed.
like you I mean not Utah, like New York is now doing, now they're training the style that they're going to wrestle in college internationally year round, hopefully. And where we're having to transition to, teaching new girls folk style and then having to teach them freestyle. And it can be really confusing to learn different styles of wrestling as a new girl, where a lot of girls are coming in already at the high school level and not starting from, 4 years old like you were. And so I think that's incredible. And I hope that other states follow along because I think that would be huge in getting girls wrestling, elevated as a whole. But I know you mentioned Mitch. I also wanted to hear what you had to say about that too.
Um, I think f I've only been in state tournaments, or been a part of state tournaments in Colorado, Utah, now Nevada.
Right.
I will say that when I first started coaching, that Colorado does they know how to put on a show. It's a ball arena, it's a big 3-day event. It
Wow.
is organized beyond all reason. They know how to they do a very, very good job, and it makes the wrestler feel, they like it's state, something
Celebrated.
big,
Yeah.
bigger
Right.
than a regional tournament. It celebrates the athlete of like, I worked so hard to get to here, and
Right.
here's where we get to be on this big stage. And I always remembered going to state wrestling tournaments in Colorado when I was a kid with my dad and my grandpa, and just watching, you know, 20 some thousand people that show up just to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Um,
Right.
it's
So cool.
it's amazing, and they did a really good job of integrating women into their state tournament as well,
I
giving
love
them
that.
the same spotlight, the same mat advantage. Like they did a really good job. And then I thought that was just the norm until I moved to Utah, and I was
Oh,
like,
dang it.
this is going to be at like the Maverick Center, or this is going to be
Right.
somewhere. And and not to say that the tournament was good. Um,
Sure.
there's a lot of people there and there's spectators and things like that. But like coming from someone doing on such a large scale, and now I've been like
Like a professional arena. It's really
seeing
cool.
in college now, like seeing how there are other states. So sometimes part of me is like, wow, I had it really good.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, and then you can still wrestle. The wrestling is still there. You don't have to have those big arenas to be a good wrestler, to
Sure.
champion that athlete. But man, it makes you feel like, I've put all this in, and the hype is there, which is what I
Right.
love about it. Like it's almost, I want to stay away from the word business, but it's professional. It's
Sure.
very well, and I think those state tournaments need to be professional. And if they work along more so with that, the high school, the NFHS chapter of the
Right.
school, or things like that, and really get on board, I think we'll see a little bit more growth, on
Yeah.
that seamless transition for all states.
Right.
With that said, but yeah, seeing it big at the beginning and then seeing other states was, a little bit different, but
Sure.
still level of wrestling, is there, um,
Yeah.
and growing, so that's
I love
biggest
that.
I've seen.
Right. Well, that's awesome that you got to see, a contrast between different states and what they're doing right and what, needs to change and kind of having those experiences. And circling back to what Geneva said, I love the idea of kind of getting rid of so many divisions because that's when you're going to see, I mean, California is one of the
Yeah.
toughest states for men's wrestling, boys wrestling, and it's because they have one division. And so these kids are having to train year round to actually place at a state tournament where here in Utah we have 6 divisions, and not to say it's easy to win a state title, but it's not quite as challenging as a one division state. So I think these are great things that could help all states across the board, and I hope to continue to see changes. But I know we're kind of getting short on time. I just want to kind of close with your guys' experience on transitioning to coach at Slam Academy, what that's been like, and kind of what's next for you guys.
So we came here because my time was just monopolized. Just like it was crazy. That job as the women's director was so much. It was so much travel
Yeah,
and our schedule was so opposite. And we were newly
absolutely.
married and we wanted to make an adjustment that allowed us to build something together.
Right.
And this has been a really perfect spot for that. We see each other every day. We actually drive to work together every day. It's kind of
Love
fun.
that. Yep.
And having him by my side through all of it has been fantastic, and I'm sure you can echo a lot of these, but, like, having your husband be the one that you can, like he knows. He knows exactly how stressed you are. He knows exactly, like, what your breaking point is, and he can step in or back up, but just, like
Right.
but he can still just anticipate so well.
I
And
love
he
that.
knows where I, like, fall short, and he knows when he needs to just, like, do it and when to
Right.
ask. It's been such a blessing. And then the fact that I trust him with everything. I could literally be like, "I am so sick," and not be stressed because I'm like, "Ah, Mitch
Right.
got this. Great." Like,
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
fantastic coach. I love the
Yay,
way that
Mitch.
the girls yeah, he's great. And he joked that he's the best assistant coach ever because he's and so he literally knows
Yeah.
everything. So being a
Yes.
time head coach for high school, I'm like, "How do I do this? What do I do here? Can you like,
Right.
can you just give me a list and then I can circle the
Right.
things to do and then just give you back the list?" And so he has been so much fun to do this with, and then to have it be something that we're building success together and building
Right.
this foundation of, like, us as a coaching pair has been really, really cool, and I'm
Oh, I'm
loving
sure.
everything minute of it. I'm sure he gets sick of me
Yay.
sometimes, but whatever. I don't really care.
That's hilarious. I love that though, and I absolutely can speak to that because I've got to coach with my husband for the past couple of years,
Mhm.
and you're spot on with everything. It's so nice. You are away from, if you are a devoted coach that wants to be successful, your time, like you've got to commit, just like you ask your athletes to commit. And, if I were not doing it with my husband, then I don't know if we would have a good relationship because I would never see him, number one.
Right?
And number two, it would be hard to explain everything that's going on, like your little frustrations, the little things that you need assistance with. Like, I love that you guys are doing it so well. You're cohesive. He's able to fill those gaps when you need him to. And I mean, that's a partnership in marriage, absolutely, but also being able to transition that over to coaching and do it successfully is so amazing. So you guys are doing it right. And I've had so much fun talking to you guys today. You have so much knowledge. You guys have done so much good for women's wrestling as a whole at so many different levels. And I'm excited to see where it continues to go. And I hope to have you back on the podcast where we can
Yeah,
maybe dive into some of these
sure.
topics a little bit more. But hopefully this gives our viewers a little glimpse of just what you guys have been able to do and just be able to follow along. And I'm going to link your guys' social media so they can follow what you guys are doing. And I also just kind of to close out, I want to know how this season went with Slam and how you guys are feeling kind of moving into this next season.
I think the season went great. We had an incredible group of young women who, Haley, I'm sure that you might have gotten to experience this at Wasatch because your team was so incredible too, but they
Thank you.
just did it. They walked in and they got it done. And I
Yep.
told them at the beginning, like, practices will be an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes if you guys work hard. They'll
Yep.
be like, I'll get the work out of you that I need. If it needs to be 2 hours, we'll do a 2 hour practice. We
Right.
didn't do a 2 hour practice this entire season
Wow.
because
I
girls
love
came,
that.
they were intentional with what they were doing. And I feel like they really absorbed things. They did a good job of working together. We had a ton of freshmen come in, and
I
it was
love
really
that.
exciting. We had quite a few who like nobody had heard of, and
Wow.
we ended up with 3 state champs, a runner up, and 2 fourth place. And so we
Wow.
brought 6 girls to state, all 6 of them placed. So it was
Exciting.
really cool. Only 2 seniors in that bunch, the other 4 freshmen.
Wow. Love
And we
that.
had some tremendous growth with every single one of our athletes. We saw everyone step up their game, and they did a great job as a team. I loved the dynamic that they had, even though like everyone has their beefs, everyone has their little stuff. But
Yep.
when it came down to it, they were a team. And
I
we
love
set the
that.
expectation at the beginning that I don't want to know who's best friends. I don't want to know who hates each other right now. You guys will treat each
Yep.
other with respect and it'll be good. And it was the entire time.
That's
And I'm
amazing.
so proud of them, and we did have success off like, on the mat, so our
Yep.
girls performed really well. We won
Right.
quite a few tournaments here in Nevada. We
That's
placed
great.
at Christmas Clash. We took
Awesome.
3rd overall at state with 6 wrestlers.
Very cool. Wow.
Uh, yeah, and we were half a point behind, 2nd place, but,
Wow.
Yeah.
it was funny because like, Mitch and I don't follow the team scores, and then all of a sudden people are like, "You guys, if you're in second," and we were like, "Oh, well, okay." Like,
Nice.
"Okay."
Nice.
Like,
Who's up?
we're here to wrestle.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that we had a lot of really special moments this year with our athletes, and this was the first time I've been able to be day in and day out with the whole team because
I
coaching
love
national
that.
gotten to do that, and so this was
Yeah.
a thing for me, the relationships I was able to build, the growth I got to see was
Mhm.
really cool. So, I'm super proud of all these girls. I'm so
Yay.
thankful let me be a part of their journey in wrestling because I love every single one of them. They're so much fun. Um,
Mhm.
and I can't wait to watch them continue to be on the mat and to see what comes next as far as what next year looks like or any of that.
Right.
We're just kind of excited for what's to come. I don't know if we have a set plan on what exactly is happening. So we're like,
Sure.
all right, we got through year 1.
I love that. That's amazing. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Mitch. You were gonna say something?
Well, I guess I would echo a lot of the things that she said as well.
Mhm.
But being able to, you know, being at the school together, and this is my first year that I didn't coach 5 sports.
Right.
Um, so it was nice too when we were here, like for me to give 100% of my attention to one thing.
Yeah.
Whereas, and you can't give 100% of yourself to 5 places. So this gave me the
Absolutely.
opportunity I've ever had to
Yeah.
really throw all of my attention in certain things, and we got to do more things with this group than I've always wanted to do, but I always ran out of
Right.
time. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
we focused more on the mental side of things. We focused more on journaling. We focused more on our practice and preparation than we always want to do, but we always kind of run out of
Right.
time. So we
Sure.
had time for us to work together and see our actual plans, like, through, all the way through.
Right.
So that was really nice to work with somebody who's like, I want to see this, or what should we show? How do we do this? And so that was nice to have full, I guess my full attention to it was
Yeah.
nice here.
That's fantastic. You guys are obviously doing an incredible job. I'm just so happy for you guys.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
we miss you in Utah as the national team coach. And I hope that we continue to see progress in Utah without you here. But you guys are doing a fantastic job out in Vegas, and I am excited to see where it continues to go and to watch those girls. And I just thank you again for taking the time to chat with me today. And I hope that these girls are able to, girls, parents, coaches, learn something from this and apply it to their own experience. So seriously, thank you again and follow along on their socials, everybody. Thank you for watching the Pretty Tough Podcast.
1, 2,